All right, we are going to get started here in just a minute. I'm not one to like to start late, so we're not going to do too much there. Just going to get the right buttons and we'll get going. I'm Dr. Clark. I get to lead this little thing tonight and hopefully answer any questions that you have too. So don't hesitate to type questions in as we're going along. We'll probably go over mainly at the end, but don't hesitate to ask. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of what, how to lose 75 pounds or more. And if you want to sell a record time, but literally sometimes 6 months or less, and keep it off for life. And that's really the more important thing, is the keeping it off for life part of the whole thing. So anyway, we're going to get started. I'm going to switch over to the slides here. But again, I'm Dr. Clark. I'm from the Center for Weight Loss Success. That's my baby, so to speak. I do weight loss surgery. And it's kind of, that's all I do. So I don't do other things. It's like, nope, this is my specialty. But we're going to flip over to the slides here and we will get started. So welcome everyone. If I can figure out how to do it. Here we go. Good. Hopefully got that down. All right. So we're talking about kind of how to lose 75 pounds or more record time and keep it off for life. And again, that's probably the more important thing there. The second part of that is keeping it off for life, whether it is, gee, you lost 60 pounds or whether you lost 100 pounds. But no matter what, it's keeping it off for life. And that's almost a more important part of what we do, because we are going to talk about weight loss surgery, but we're going to talk about kind of what the more important thing is, not just weight loss surgery, but it's optimizing weight loss and keeping that weight off literally forever. And that's probably almost the more important thing there. All right, so who is this webinar for? Well, basically it's for anyone who's looking to lose weight. And if you need to lose 75 pounds or more and you struggle to drop the weight, then this is for you, okay? If you're worried about the increasing weight health or weight-related health problems, if you're living in constant pain, if you're not living that active lifestyle that you'd like to be living, and if it's all related to your weight, then this is for you. And it's especially if you've ever felt like you just don't fit in. It's like if who you see in the mirror isn't really matching who you truly are. If you're tired of taking all the medications that you're taking, if you're just not able to enjoy life's simple pleasures anymore, and it's related to your weight, this is for you. Because there really is a solution, and this presentation really could change your life. I'm going to go over kind of the different parts of this solution, but it is something that could change your life. I know that sounds really kind of, up in the clouds and esoteric, we could change your life, but this is something that's so true. And we see this every single day here, in that we change people's lives and they metamorphosize, they really change you see, it's just incredible. I kind of stumbling over my words because it really is an incredible thing that we see happen every day. So in this next 55 minutes or so, you're going to discover what's the best way to determine if weight loss surgery is right for you. You'll meet a few of literally our thousands of success stories in what life is like afterwards. And we're going to talk about some of the top surgery options. And I'll kind of talk about the most common options: gastric bypass, adjustable band, sleeve gastrectomy. But I'm also going to hit you with some of the, the bad things about surgery too, or the potential bad things. And we're going to talk a little bit of what I call the ugly truth that most physicians just don't want to talk about when it comes to weight loss surgery. But it's important to realize. So my promise to you then is that we're going to give you this kind of step-by-step blueprint to weight loss success. And I assure you that surgery is just a piece of this. So turn off your phone, shut out all your distractions, just kind of get some paper out and pencil out, write some things down, take good notes. Just the point being is pay attention. This is me again, picture of me. So stick with me to the end, and you also get access to a very special free gift. And I got, some people wonder, why can I give this talk, or what does it matter? But we're going to go over all that. But you will get a special free gift if you kind of stick around for this whole thing here. So a little bit about myself. Weight loss is what I do. And for the last 23 years, I've done weight loss surgery. So I've done nearly 5,000 weight loss procedures, but I also do medical weight loss as well. So I'm board certified actually in two separate specialties, surgery as well as medical weight loss. They're two completely separate specialties. There's only a handful of us in the US that are actually board certified in both things. So we kind of take you through literally losing 5 pounds to hundreds of pounds. And we have results with our weight loss surgery patients that exceed national averages. Now, and that's not something I just made up. Literally I shouldn't say every, okay, most weight loss surgery centers, okay, that are centers that do weight loss surgeries, hospitals that do weight loss surgeries, are generally connected to what's referred to as a center of excellence. And in order to have this designation of a center of excellence, we have to go through kind of a lot of steps to get there, and we have to have a national approval, a national stamp of approval on that we do all these things well. And part of that is we have to enter data. We have to enter our data of what we're doing and how our patients are doing long term after the surgery. And we have results that exceed national averages, not only in just healing up, less complications, less problems and that, but also what really is more important than that is the long-term weight loss. And we exceed national averages there. And part of that is what we're going to talk about tonight is kind of this special program, year-long program afterwards of how do you optimize weight loss and how do you keep that weight off long-term. And that's what we want, is a lifetime success. I'm also a best-selling author. I've written 5 different books, kind of, and you can get them if you decide you want to go to Amazon, or if you walk in our nutritional store here. We've got them all here, but you can go to Amazon and search my name, and you can get the different books, and they have to do with different aspects of weight loss. Some with medical weight loss, surgical weight loss, questions asked before weight loss, back on track if you've had weight loss surgery and just aren't doing as well as you should or are struggling now long term. We've got a whole book to go over that as well. But I'm also the creator of what we refer to as Weight Management University for Weight Loss Surgery. And this is our post-surgical program, a whole year program. This is a huge part of what we do. It's not just a surgery. And if you think about it, if you have surgery itself is literally about 45 minutes out of your life. And now you've got that surgery for the rest of your life. So optimizing weight loss and keeping that weight off long-term is actually a huge, important part of all this. In many, many places, many surgical centers ignore that, or they just kind of, they give it lip service and say, oh yeah, we do these things. But this is something that I've worked on for the last 23 years to kind of figure out what is the best way to do this. How do we optimize weight loss? How do we keep that weight off? And this is the result of that, Weight Management University for Weight Loss Surgery. Yeah, we actually have a TV show too, but okay. Yeah, anybody can have a TV show this day. Okay, well, that's different. All right, but we've literally changed the lives of almost 5,000 people over the past 23 years. And you're going to meet a few of them during our time here. All right, here's pictures of a few of them. So these are the people who make what we do worthwhile. And this is a very important part of kind of what we do, is helping these individuals. It makes what we do tremendously rewarding. So why do we do this? Okay, why do we do what we do? And because it's watching our patients transform their lives into healthier, happier people that gives really true meaning to what we do. And it truly is amazing. It's amazing to watch this happen, where people have often, it's not that they're different people, but we've kind of really allowed them to branch out. It's kind of that butterfly to come out, if you want to call it that. But if you see them metamorphosize into the people they had the potential to be, and may have been their weight that was holding them back. So if you can identify with that, I mean, this is what we're talking about. So we love helping people focus on what they can do rather than what they can't do. And we really do love going above and beyond to ensure that you are successful. And we want you successful, not just initially around surgery, but really forever. If you can't tell that you hear the passion in what I do, this is what I do, and this is why I do it. Now, why is this important? Okay, why is weight important? Okay, now lots of reasons. Okay, and you probably read about them in the paper almost every day. There's lots of studies out there, and really our own research as well. It confirms that weight loss surgery really is now extremely safe. 10, 20 years ago when I first started doing this, the risks were higher because it seemed like it was a bigger operation and a longer operation. We didn't have as good as anesthetics. Now technology is advanced. We can do these surgeries very safely, sometimes even on the absolute biggest and the absolute sickest, and we can get them through this surgery very safely. Okay? So weight loss surgery is now extremely safe. It's actually safer than many common other operations. It's actually safer than having your gallbladder taken out, which to me, it sounds amazing, but when you look statistically at kind of about 0.3% of people that have their gallbladders out actually end up dying from that. Weight loss surgery is actually safer than that. It's very rare to hear somebody dying from a gallbladder operation. But reality is that weight loss surgery is now safer than that is. And that's amazing, actually. So now the other side of this, though, is weight-related healthcare costs just keep escalating. They're just going up and up and up and up. You'll see that just, the insurance discussion is a whole different ballgame, but we see that kind of insurance premiums going way up, and some of it's related to all the medical problems related to weight. And they're expected, these, healthcare costs are expected to rise almost 6% annually. I mean, this is, that's an incredible burden. That's, again, a whole separate discussion, but very pertinent discussion too. Now, just ignoring these facts only compounds the problem, and it really puts your goals further and further and further out of reach. So the longer you ignore this, the natural history of someone gaining weight is typically they're going to continue gaining weight. They're going to get more medical problems. So the longer we put it off, the harder it is. So, kind of contrary to popular belief, responsible weight loss surgery then with the right doctor is now as safe as gallbladder surgery. As I mentioned that, right? It literally is kind of safer. I should say at least as safe, and it actually is safer. Again, I mentioned those percentages. So having weight loss surgery now, the risk of death is about 0.2%. The risk of death with gallbladder surgery is about 0.3%. So no matter what, those are low numbers. Okay, so not like, gee, they're really high numbers. Like, no, these are low numbers. And so it is a safe operation. We can do these big operations actually very safely. And weight loss surgery with the right support program and the right doctor should not be seen as a last resort, because health risks rise as your weight increases. So really don't think of this, gee, this is my last resort. Now, I'm not going to tell you that, gee, this should be your first answer. That if you haven't tried kind of medical weight loss, you really ought to try it. But for many people, they've tried many different kind of weight loss plans. And if it's not working, this shouldn't be thought of as the last resort. This should just be thought of as just another option for you, because it can be a very, very good option for you. That can be a very safe option and really get you where you need and want to go. And when you follow a proven system like ours, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's next to impossible. And it's really, you have to almost work at failing, because we're going to walk you through how to do this. All right. Now, mentioned a little earlier that there are some things that we're going to talk a little bit about that aren't so comfortable for often physicians to talk about. So I do have this confession to make. I've learned a lot. Hopefully I've learned a lot over the last 23 plus years, but I've specifically learned a lot about weight and weight loss and weight loss surgery. Now, the ugly truth then, as I mentioned earlier, that most physicians don't necessarily want to talk about, and especially most surgeons don't want to talk about, is that as many as 50% of weight loss surgery patients start beginning to regain weight in 2 years or so. Now, part of that, most physicians, most surgeons don't really provide a comprehensive follow-up program because of the time and the cost that's involved. it's hard to have a follow-up program. It's much easier for me to just say, okay, you do the surgery, you healed up, and now you're good. Yeah, good luck with all that. Okay, here's what you do. Here are a couple handouts. Here's a little something that'll kind of walk you through. Good luck with that. Give us a call if there's a problem. Right? So most physicians don't provide that comprehensive follow-up program, and it's incredibly important. Now, part of it is because they may not have the experience and the ability to provide everything you need for the long-term success. I've been doing this a long period of time. I've been doing both medical and surgical. So we know what it takes to lose weight, how to optimize weight loss, how to keep that weight off. And putting it all together in a program is extremely important. So again, that ugly truth, everyone who has weight loss surgery is going to lose weight. There's no doubt about that. Okay? Unfortunately, most people don't have access to the real information they need to really change their habits for long-term and really for ultimate success. So, and then finally, kind of weight loss surgery really is, it can be affordable. Sometimes people, oh, I can never have weight loss surgery. I don't have the insurance. Okay. But there are a lot of people that actually, you can afford this. It doesn't have to be out of your reach. Weight loss surgery, specifically here at the Center for Weight Loss Success, we make this much more affordable than trying to buy even a small car. Okay? And literally, this is something that can last you forever and a lot less expensive than a small car. Literally, some of these surgeries we can do for less than $14,000. And that includes all the educational stuff I just mentioned too. So it's, I mean, it really is incredible that we can provide a lot of this, and it doesn't have to be out of many people's reach. So in these 23 years, 23 plus years, weight loss surgery is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used correctly or incorrectly. Using correctly, it can be extremely powerful. Used incorrectly, well, it doesn't work all that great, and potentially people get problems with it. So weight loss surgery is a tool. You'll hear us say that over and over again. Education is critical. How do you do this if you don't know what to do? So education is absolutely critical. Experience doing this matters. We've seen kind of all these things that can occur. We know how to prevent a lot of these problems. We know how to kind of nip them in the bud. And then the support side of this is absolutely critical too. So it's not only just knowing what to do, it's how do you actually do it? Okay, knowing what to do is relatively straightforward. I mean, literally, I could sit down with you for an hour and tell you, okay, this is exactly what you need to do. The issue isn't always exactly what do you need to do. Well, first, you do have to know the right things, because sometimes people have been told the wrong things to do. You know, if you keep doing the wrong things over and over again, you're not going to get very far. Okay, so it's knowing the right thing. So education is critical, but then it's also how do you implement those things, and that's for the support side. It's not just what to do; it's how do you make them happen in a busy life, stressful life. That is very important. All right, meet one of our patients. This is Rhonda. So, like many of our patients here, okay, Rhonda had lots of different health problems. And these are just common, she suffered from these problems, but these are incredibly common problems. She had prediabetes, but diabetes itself is very common. Okay, about 25%, and actually when I looked statistically recently at how many of our patients actually had a diagnosis of diabetes, and it was like 28% of them. 28% of them. Now, that was before surgery. After surgery, it pretty much goes away. But diabetes is very common. High blood pressure, we're seeing probably 60 or 70% of our patients are actually hypertensive. Sleep apnea, incredibly common. Many people have the diagnosis. Many people need the meaning that they actually have the problem, but it hasn't been diagnosed. And so it's incredibly common. Other things, we see lipid abnormalities, we see arthritis problems, back pain problems, fertility problems, really the list kind of goes on and on and on of all these medical problems, and they're all directly related to weight. But these are some of the common ones that Rhonda had. All right, now when we start talking about kind of, who's a candidate for surgery, often you'll hear this term of body mass index or BMI thrown about. And typically from an insurance perspective, body mass index is usually the first screening point. your insurance company is going to want to know what's your body mass index number. And you can figure it out. Literally, if you just Google BMI, okay, it'll probably pop up a BMI calculator, and you just plug in your height and your weight, and it'll spit out the number for you. Really easy. You don't have to do the mathematical equation. I have the mathematical equation shown up there. So, and as Americans in the U.S., we typically don't think in metric units, in kilograms and meter squared and things like that. So, but you can actually, body mass index equations, you can just go to Google that, figure it out. But literally, body mass index is the first screening point that your insurance company wants to know. And they typically want to look at anyone who has a body mass index over 40, or if you have body mass index over 35 with medical problems. Now, when I say body mass index of 40, body mass index of 40 is around 100 pounds overweight. You could be completely healthy otherwise. No medical problems at all. Gee, it's just my weight. I'm 100 pounds overweight. If you have a body mass index of 40 or more, you're a candidate to consider surgery. Or if you have a body mass index of 35 or more with medical problems. Now, a body mass index of 35 is around 70 pounds overweight. And when I say with medical problems, every insurance company has their own list. Okay, but what they're typically looking for is kind of what I call the big three: diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea. And they may include some other. Every insurance companies are different, but they almost all include diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea. Right? So body mass index of 35 or more, that's around 75 pounds overweight with medical problems, or body mass index of 40 or more could be all by itself with no medical, or you may have the medical problems too. All right, now, another thing that's very important, especially during weight loss, is looking at body composition. Now, a lot of people can't necessarily just get their body composition checked whenever they want to, but we use, at Center for Weight Loss Success, we use body composition scales because it can give us a good idea of what are you losing. Because when you're losing weight, you want to make sure you're losing the fatty tissue, not losing the good stuff. The good stuff was referred to as lean body mass. Lean body mass technically means everything that's not fat. Okay? So we kind of divide, when we talk about body composition, we're dividing it into two broad categories: fatty tissue, everything else. Everything else is lean body mass. That's the good stuff. And the reason we care so much about lean body mass is because it's your lean body mass that drives your overall metabolism. So if you're losing weight and you're losing lean body mass, what you're doing is slowing your metabolism down, which makes it hard to lose weight, and it makes it easy to gain weight. So keeping an eye on body composition during weight loss is actually extremely important. And this wouldn't matter whether we're talking about surgery or medical weight loss or just weight loss in general. Keep an eye on body composition. Again, it's your lean body mass that drives your overall metabolism. Now, people have often proven that concept to themselves throughout their lifetime without ever realizing it. It's like they may go on an aggressive medical weight loss plan. So you go on a medical weight loss plan, you lose a bunch of weight, which is great, right? Then you find, hey, I go off that weight loss plan, and now it's even easier to regain weight, and I go up even higher. It's like, well, why does that happen? Well, the reason is because when you lost weight, you probably lost lean body mass. You lost lean body mass, you slowed your metabolism down. Slowed your metabolism down, now it's even easier to regain weight and go up even higher. And if you do that multiple times throughout your lifetime, it gets harder and harder and harder to lose weight and easier to gain weight. And people have often proven this, proven that concept to themselves multiple times. So they've gone to this medical weight loss plan, lost the weight, now it's even easier. And that part of that is they'll come in and tell me, gee, I did this diet, whatever diet it was. I did this diet 5 years ago and it worked great. And I'm doing it now. It's like, yeah, it's not working very well. And part of that's because, okay, you don't have the same body composition now that you did then because you probably lost a bunch of lean body mass, slowed your metabolism down. So it is an important concept. I like people to understand that in itself doesn't have anything to do with surgery. It just has to do with weight loss, which obviously weight loss surgery is part of that. All right, so back to Rhonda. So Rhonda, she not only had lots of medical problems, but other things that she felt. And she secretly felt what? Depressed, afraid, lonely, feeling like you have no control. It's genetic, right? It's like, I have no control over all this. These are really common feelings and really common in our patient population. And this is something that can really be detrimental to anyone. And so these are the things that you can't really measure quite as well. I can measure your weight. I can measure your blood pressure and your cholesterol and your diabetes, your blood sugar. Now I can measure all those things. And we can watch those measurements get better, which is great. These things here, not so easy to measure, but they're extremely real. And if you're kind of suffering from this obesity problem, you may be able to identify with some of these things here because they're very real. But I'll also say that when we can control weight, a lot of these things fade away. So what she really needed to know is that there are proven options. Now, surgery is just one of them. You have a medical weight loss medication. Those are options too. That's kind of a discussion for a different webinar. But when I say medical weight loss, it basically means we're putting together a good dietary plan, exercise plan, and what I'll call behavior modification plan. Sometimes we may add medications. There are some over-the-counter medications. There's also some prescription medications nowadays too. Typically, they can be helpful. All these are just tools. But diet is a tool. Medication, it's a tool. You think about any medication, it's really just a tool. Blood pressure medication is a tool to control blood pressure. Cholesterol medication is a tool to control your cholesterol. Well, okay, weight loss medication is a tool to help you control your weight. Well, surgery is just a much more powerful tool. That's all. Nothing magic with all this. So, and the point there being is that they can all be used together. So it isn't something that, gee, you can only do one. And typically that's often what people are thinking, is that either I'm doing medical weight loss or I'm doing surgical weight loss, and the two don't mix at all, which makes no sense because they mix very nicely together. And we can use all the tricks from the medical side with the surgical side. So who then is a candidate to consider surgery? Right. Every insurance company in the world has their own set of criteria. Okay. I kind of mentioned some of that earlier. Most insurance companies follow National Institutes of recommendations. Okay. And literally anyone who has a body mass index over 40 is a candidate to consider surgery. Okay. And it could be completely healthy otherwise. Or someone that has a body mass index of 35 or more with medical problems. Now, just to refresh there, is that body mass index of 40 is around 100 pounds overweight. Body mass index of 35 is around 70 pounds overweight. And body mass index of 35 with medical problems. And typically the medical problems the most insurance companies looking for: diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea. Now, from my perspective, a little bit different perspective than an insurance company's perspective, is that anyone who's overweight and has health or lifestyle problems related to their weight is potentially a candidate to consider surgery. Now, that does not mean that we generally operate on somebody who wants or needs to lose 20 pounds. But on the other hand, though, it makes no sense to me to make someone wait until they either gained a whole bunch more weight or they had to get more medical problems before we could do something about it surgically if they've tried everything and it's not working. So in my mind, it's time to switch gears and start working on something that we know can be much more helpful. So what are the options? Now we're getting into the meat of this whole thing. What are the common options for weight loss surgery? And I've listed the most common options done in the world right there in that slide, as well as the most common options done in the United States. And yeah, these are the ones we do around here. Now, I wrote them in kind of a specific order there: gastric bypass, adjustable gastric band, sleeve gastrectomy. And it's really been kind of which ones have been around the longest period of time. This gastric bypass has been around for about close to 60 years now. I mean, adjustable gastric band's been around in the US since 2001. Now, sleeve gastrectomy is kind of what I'll call a newer kid on the block. It's been used as a weight loss operation now for just over 10 years, almost 11 years. Okay. So we're going to go through some of these options, and we're going to talk a little bit about what each of them are and kind of what are the risks involved with having some of these surgeries, as well as kind of what can you expect as far as weight loss goes. Because it's not only, when I talk about risk with surgery, I talk about risk not just right around surgery till you healed, Okay? But really, what are the long-term risks, which often are kind of glossed over? Is because you really need to consider not only what happens right around surgery, but really what happens long-term, years down the road. What do we see is going on with people? That's part of the overall risk there. So we're going to talk about these, and we're going to start with gastric bypass. And gastric bypass has been around for close to 60 years. Very well-studied operation. Okay? It's kind of what every other operation is compared to. Now, gastric bypass, what we do here, and I think you'll be able to see my pointer here, is we make you a tiny little stomach. So gastric bypass works by combining restriction with malabsorption. Restriction means we're going to make you a little tiny stomach. So what I'm showing here in this tiny little stomach here is literally about the size of an egg. Tiny little stomach. That's the restriction part. So you have a tiny little stomach. You can't eat very much. But then there's also kind of what I'll call the malabsorption part. The malabsorption part means that we're doing something to your intestinal tract so that you're not absorbing everything the way you normally would. So you don't absorb all the calories, which is part of how the operation works. But you also don't absorb some of the vitamins, minerals, micronutrients as well either, which I'm going to talk in a minute about just some of these risks that occur with that. So we make it with a gastric bypass, we make you this tiny little stomach, okay? So you can't eat very much. And then we bypass the rest of the stomach. So what I've got on the pointer now, this is the rest of the stomach, and we're going to bypass the rest of the stomach. And that's where the name came from, gastric bypass. The way we do that is we go a short distance downstream on the beginning of the small intestine. We're going to divide the very beginning of the small intestine. We're going to take this new end up. We're going to pull it up, and we're going to hook it into this tiny little stomach. So when you eat food, food comes down the swallowing tube into this tiny little stomach and empties directly into the very beginning of the small intestine and runs downstream. It mixes with your digestive juices down here where it looks like a Y. So you'll sometimes see this called Roux-Y, gastric bypass. That's what they're describing. Is that we hook this back in so the digestive juices and the food mix together. So the food gets digested, runs downstream, and gets whatever's left over comes out the other end. So little tiny stomach, plus we've bypassed the rest of the stomach. Now, typically with gastric bypass, you see very good weight loss with this type of operation. The average weight loss is somewhere around 70% of what you are overweight. So if you're 100 pounds overweight, that's 70 pounds. It looks really good. Now, the issue, though, also with bypasses, again, is not only losing weight, but keeping it off. But before, and the problem I have with gastric bypasses is that about 30 to 40% of people with gastric bypasses regain almost all their weight back. I'm going to say that again. Is almost 30 to 40% of people that have gastric bypasses regain almost all their weight back. Which is why long-term I've become less of a fan of gastric bypasses. Now, I mentioned earlier, too, that we're going to talk a little bit about what are the risks of having these surgeries. Okay, well, just about every surgery in the world, whenever we start dividing your intestinal tract, the things we worry about the most, okay, I mentioned death earlier, and those are really rare. That's good. Okay, but what do we then worry about? Well, we worry about infections. Okay, infections specifically, and specifically with any time we divide the intestinal tract, is could you get a leak from somewhere where we divided it? And that's a rip-roaring infection. Now, it's also a very fixable problem. You might have to have a second operation to fix that. But the risk of getting a leak from your intestinal tract, once we start dividing your intestinal tract, is about 1%. So it may be rare, but not impossible. Okay. We watch for blood clots. The risk of getting a blood clot is somewhat related to how long did the surgery take. The longer surgery takes, the higher the risk is. Well, gastric bypasses take about an hour and 40 minutes, and the risk is somewhere around 1 to 2%. And if you got a blood clot, you'd have to be on a blood thinner to dissolve a blood clot. Then certainly we watch for things like kind of infections right around surgery that could be on the skin. Those are more nuisance problems. They still have to be treated. Those are kind of what I'll call the big things. So I mentioned those. So those are common. Not really, some of those right around surgery risks are true for any of the operations. Okay? They just happen to be a little bit less of a risk with the other operations. Okay? What's probably more important in my mind is kind of what about long term? What are the risks long term? The risk with gastric bypass long term, one of the biggest physical risks after gastric bypass is getting an ulcer. Now you can get an ulcer without having a gastric bypass, but when you have the anatomy of a gastric ulcer, the anatomy of a gastric bypass, the risk of getting an ulcer goes up. About 4 to 5% of people with gastric bypasses get ulcers. Now, because you have abnormal anatomy, I mean, we change your anatomy around, you're going to have more scar tissue. So you can get adhesions problems, which can cause bowel blockages. You can get internal hernias then, which can cause bowel blockages. So these are something that can occur literally forever down the road. And then one of the biggest things is that the nutritional abnormalities. When we bypass any of the intestinal tract, you do not absorb things perfectly. And because of that, you can get vitamin and nutrient deficiencies. Iron deficiency is incredibly common. It's up to about 40% of people that have bypasses. B12 deficiencies, about 20 to 25% in B12 deficiencies. You don't absorb calcium as well. So a lot of people can get osteoporosis. You don't absorb magnesium as well. You don't absorb vitamin D as well. So there's lots of different things that actually you don't absorb as well. And because of that, potentially you can get long-term nutritional problems, which we don't see with some of the other operations. All right, adjustable gastric bands. This is kind of the other operation. Now, adjustable gastric bands been around in the US since 2001. And so there's getting lots of long-term studies on adjustable gastric bands. Now, a couple things right off from adjustable gastric bands, to talk about weight loss, is that, okay, the weight loss with adjustable gastric bands is kind of just okay. On average, it's about 45% of what you are overweight. So if you're 100 pounds overweight, losing 45% is losing 45 pounds. You know, most people like to lose more than that if they're that much overweight. But 45%, it can get you where you need to go from a medical perspective, because you do need to lose, in order to get rid of most medical problems, you need to lose about 40%. So you can get there. It's just that on average, that's just kind of what I'll call as okay weight loss. Now, the same risks that I mentioned right around surgery, first 30 days, you know, could someone die? If you look at the literature, it's about 1 in 1,000 with adjustable bands, so even lower risk. But, you know, could you get infections? Could you get blood clots? Somewhat related to how long the surgery takes. Adjustable bands take about 40 minutes or so. And so subsequently, the risk of that surgery is going to be a little lower, okay? But blood clots can occur, infections can occur, but they're much little lower risk, that's all. The bigger issue is, one, relatively, I'm going to say just okay weight loss, but it's the mechanical device problems. Because long-term, we're seeing as more and more mechanical device problems. As time goes on, we're seeing more problems with the device, meaning could the band slip? If it slips, it's going to kink on the lower part of the stomach there. Subsequently, it could block you up completely. The band could actually erode into the stomach. Could the little stomach above the band could actually dilate way up and then kink over the edge and won't empty well. All of these may be reasons that a band may have to be either revised or just removed. And what we're seeing in long term in the literature there is about 40% of people that have adjustable gastric bands have to have their band removed for whatever reason. And with just only okay weight loss and a lot of people needing band removal, I'm not a big fan of adjustable bands anymore. Which then brings us to the sleeve gastrectomy. Sleeve gastrectomy is what I call the newer kid on the block. It's been used as a weight loss operation now for the last 11 years. And what we do here is remove what's called the greater curve of the stomach. And I'm going to kind of put this on the pointer on the, hopefully this is recording for you. You put this on the stomach here. But it is, what we do is remove this portion of the stomach there. And by removing this portion of the stomach, it leaves you then with a tubular stomach. And this tubular stomach then, or kind of like a sleeve on a shirt is tubular shape. So what we're really doing is changing the shape of the stomach from what I call as a big floppy thing to now a tubular thing. But we're not changing your anatomy. It's just a much smaller stomach. So this part I have that, hopefully you can see that this pointer on, is that this is going to be removed, and subsequently then it leaves you with this tubular stomach. But when you eat food, food comes down the swallowing tube, travels down this tubular stomach into the small intestine, just the way it always did before. And by doing that, then nothing is bypassed. Your anatomy is normal. You don't have the malabsorption. But the other thing that occurs when we remove this portion of the stomach, when we remove this portion of the stomach, it's this large floppy portion out there that makes a hormone called ghrelin. And ghrelin is a hormone that tends to make you feel hungry. And if we remove that part of the stomach, then hunger is much easier to control. Because ghrelin levels make you feel hungry. We take that part of the stomach out, ghrelin levels now go way down. Hunger is much easier to control. And if you think about it, hunger is one of the downfalls of just about every weight loss plan in the world. If we can control hunger, it's a lot easier to lose weight, a lot easier to keep that weight off. All right, so what we do then is remove just a little more detail, coming back to reiterate this. If you haven't figured it out, I'm a big fan of sleeve gastrectomies. I think that we see great weight loss with it, as well as we see people with really quick recoveries. And once you're recovered, you're good. You've got normal anatomy. So we remove the stomach's greater curve. Nothing again is bypassed, so there's no malabsorption, and your anatomy actually remains normal. It's just a much smaller stomach. So if you're looking for a visual, the stomach is about the size and shape of a medium banana. And again, that hormone ghrelin goes way down. And when ghrelin level goes way down, hunger is much easier to control. I mentioned there it's kind of the increasingly popular and fastest growing option. Just a couple years ago, gastric bypass was the most common operation done in the US for weight loss. That is no longer true. Sleeve gastrectomy is the most common operation done for weight loss in the United States. And it's actually over half of all the operations done in the United States are now sleeve gastrectomies. And part of that is because we see great weight loss with it and quick recovery. Surgery itself doesn't take that long. It takes about 45 minutes. Hospital stay, generally it's a really short hospital stay. Actually, 95% of our patients actually go home the same day. I just got back recently from our national meeting where I presented our data that we can do 95% of our patients actually go home the same day or spend the night, which is a little bit unusual. But we see tremendous results with that. And I've become convinced over the years that the longer you stay in the hospital, the more likely something bad may happen to you. So if you can safely be at home, you'll actually recover a lot faster. So full recovery, pretty darn quick. Most people are comfortable driving in about 3 to 4 days. And generally by about 2 weeks, feeling like I can do most anything I want to. In about 3 weeks, you can pretty much do whatever you want to. So recovery really is remarkably quick with this operation. Now, again, I have to talk about risks. So this I'm going to go a little more detail because we spend a lot more time with this operation and seeing a lot more patients with this operation. So again, talk about risk in 2 separate time frames. The first time frame is first 30 days, and the next time frame is long term. So this slide is basically first 30 days. As I mentioned earlier, and we can't not mention it, is that the risk of death, I don't want to gloss over that, but it's incredibly rare, but not impossible. Okay, about 0.2%. So it's very rare, actually safer than gallbladder surgery, but again, not impossible. Could you get a leak? And of course, we divide the stomach there, so potentially it can happen. And look at the literature, it's about 1%. I've done close to 1,000 of these now, and I've seen one primary surgery. Wound infection, that's, could you get a little infection on the skin? Those are nuisance problems, not dangerous problems, but they still have to be treated. So we put you on a little bit of antibiotic until it goes away pretty quick. DVT, PE means blood clots. I mentioned those earlier with the other operations. It typically has to do with how long did the surgery take. Gastric bypasses take about 1 hour and 40 minutes. Sleeve gastrectomy is about half that. So the numbers are typically half. What we see is less than 1%, but not impossible. Nausea, vomiting, dehydration. I didn't really mention this so much in gastric bypasses, but what tends to happen with all these operations is when we make you a tiny little stomach, the first thing that happens to the tiny little stomach is the tissue swells. And if it swells, then, which it will, then stuff just kind of trickles through there. So even when you're sipping on liquid, you have to go very slow. And if you're not able to stay hydrated enough, you may have to come back to the hospital, get some IV fluids, let that rest a couple of days, let the swelling go down. And that's really true with all the operations. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier in the webinar or not. So then the second time frame is really long term. Now with the other operations, I spent more time with this, kind of all the different things that can go wrong. You know, adjustable band, mechanical device. With gastric bypasses, it's abnormal anatomy problems, it's nutritional problems, it's malabsorption problems. Sleeve gastrectomy, you got normal anatomy. And once you're healed, you're healed. You've got normal anatomy. Long term, then, there aren't a whole lot of things that go wrong with it. Okay, one of the things we do have to keep in mind is something that's referred to as stenosis. You'll sometimes see, if you look at this closely or Google it or something, you may see it called stricture. They mean the same thing. But what it means is narrowing. And what we're talking about is somewhere along that tubular stomach. We made you this tubular stomach about the size and shape of a medium banana. If somewhere along that tubular stomach, could you get it to narrow down, or could it scar down? And if that happens, well, food wouldn't go through there very easily. So if that happens, then we'd have you see one of the gastroenterologists. They can take a look down there. They use a little balloon. They can actually stretch that back out. So it typically won't need more surgery. Not impossible to need more surgery, but still some very rare problems. I mentioned about 1%. In theory, it's about 1%. Again, I've done about 1,000 of these. I've seen one. Okay? So not impossible, but again, very rare. And again, what's the thing I really love about this sleeve gastrectomy is, well, you won't see great weight loss with it, but really what I love about this part of it, talking about risks, is that once you're healed, you're healed. You have normal anatomy. So aren't that many things that can go wrong compared to the person who has a normal sized stomach. It's just a smaller stomach. So then what results can you expect? I kind of hit on this a little earlier, but it bears repeating, okay? And some of the results you can expect, as I mentioned, kind of with gastric bypasses, the average weight loss is about 70% of what you're overweight. So if you're 100 pounds overweight, 70 pounds, which is actually the same result we see with sleeve gastrectomies, 70%. And that part of that is because that's better than the national averages, as I mentioned. Part of that is because I think the extensive support and educational side of that. So just to complete this thought, what results can you expect? I mentioned a gastric bypass, about 70% of what you are overweight. So if you're 100 pounds overweight, 70 pounds. With adjustable bands, it's about 45%. And again, these numbers are averages, meaning some people lose more, some people lose less. Adjustable bands averages about 45%. So if you're 100 pounds overweight, 45 pounds. And with sleeve gastrectomy, we're seeing it's about 70%. So if you're 100 pounds overweight, about 70 pounds. That's on average. So some people lose more, some people lose less. So, which is really good. And again, I think I mentioned this earlier, is that you need to lose about 40% of what you are overweight to really see all those medical problems fade away. So, why our results exceed national averages? And they do. Part of it is because we want to work with people who are qualified but also committed to success. We want people, a lot of people just want to have the surgery and then kind of walk away. It's like, if that's your idea, I'm not that interested in meeting with you, because this is a lifetime commitment. Lifetime commitment of the educational support side. The surgery itself, again, is less than an hour. Now we got that surgery for the rest of your life. So you need to be committed to the long term, not just, well, the healing process in the first few couple months, and then I'll go do whatever I want to, is I'm not really interested in working with you. Okay? So we work with people who are qualified, but also then committed to success. And again, we've developed that exclusive pre-surgical education class, but also that 12-month post-operative weight loss surgery program. And we're going to support you every step of the way. It's not only what to do, it's how do you optimize all this? How do you actually make these things happen in your life? So this is, again, Weight Management University for weight loss surgery. So it includes lots of things. Now, it doesn't go over, it goes over a whole 12 months. So 12 months of Weight Management University for weight loss surgery. Basically, part of it is just each month another module is literally going to be delivered to your door. I operate on people literally all over the country, sometimes all over the world. But, okay, we can deliver the educational and support side with technology as it is. We can deliver it to you even if you live way far away. So 12 modules delivered to your door. You basically slowly build your textbook, build your program. We walk you through each month kind of what to expect. This is what we need to work on now. Kind of walk you through the educational process and so you're changing behaviors as you go. Delivered to your door, it gives you unlimited access to our membership portal. And we have in our website, we have a membership portal. You've got unlimited access. We literally have hundreds of educational videos in there. It's kind of overwhelming. And so we try to separate that out of what each one, kind of what groupings are all in there. It also gives you online weekly educational classes. Literally, if you live in the area, you can literally come in and sit in the classroom. But we record them all so that you have access to all these educational classes every week, and it can kind of walk you through how do you make these behavior changes. Okay? And probably one of the most important things that I like to stress is it literally gives you access to me from wherever you are in the world every single week, because it gives you membership in a group we call Losing Weight USA. It's part of your Weight Management University for weight loss surgery, but it gives you access to me every single week. Every single week I do a live webinar, just like I'm doing now. I do a live webinar that I go over a different topic that has to do with weight and overall health, and every week it's a different topic. So over a year, you're going to get, about 52 different topics. Yes, we do this every week. And it also gives you then access to me to ask questions. Just like, you have a chat here. It's like you can ask questions about any of this stuff, wherever you are in the world. You can do it from your smartphone. You can do it from your computer. And literally, if you have, smartphone, computer access, internet access, you've got access to me that whole year. Lots of other things from we have personal trainers and fitness class. We have all kinds of other stuff you also have access to. We realize that a lot of people don't live right here. So subsequently, then some of it doesn't, they can't do all the things, but we have it all set up so that we can provide you all the tools of how do you get the most out of this. Nobody else offers this. Nobody else offers anything like this. And yes, we've checked. A lot of people have come by and kind of looking at our facility and looking at all the things that we do and say, oh, this is great, we want to do this, but they don't. And I don't know if it's they can't, but a lot of it is because it takes a lot of time. 23 years I've been working on this, as well as a lot of effort. And it actually takes a lot of sweat and tears to kind of make this stuff happen. And so nobody is offering things like this. Okay, so what then really influences success after weight loss surgery? What is it? A lot of things matter. I mentioned kind of the educational stuff. I'm going to list some of the things. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but what really matters, we want to keep an eye on lean body mass. It drives your overall metabolism. There are lots of things that we can't really control. Things like age, we can't include, we can't control age, we can't control your gender, we can't control kind of ethnicity. There are a lot of things we can't really control. But then there are some things we can control. Can we adjust medications, kind of utilizing different medications that'll help promote weight loss as opposed to work against weight loss, because many medications work against it. Do we need to kind of look at some of the hormone status, different hormones that may affect weight? Obviously, we can't do a whole lot about genetics at this point, but there are things we need to kind of look at. How you handle stress, how much you exercise. Carbohydrate addiction is a real entity. I can't cure it, but we can control it. That's carbohydrate sensitivity. I just kind of took it a step further. Carbohydrate addiction, it's real, but we can control it. I can't make it go away. Environmental toxins, and what does that mean? Is that we're exposed to things throughout our lifetime that very likely do affect weight. Vitamin nutrient deficiencies are incredibly common, and yes, they affect weight. Food allergies incredibly common, and yes, they affect weight. Appetite stimulants, some of the common ones out there: alcohol, salt, artificial sweeteners, caffeine. Caffeine is one of the biggest culprits. People often think caffeine is going to help them lose weight. It almost never does. When you think about it, caffeine is a stimulant, actually tends to make stress hormones go up. When stress hormones go up, we become resistant to losing weight. Plus, as a stimulant, it also tends to stimulate appetite. So it's a rare person that caffeine helps. Anyway, lots of things influence weight loss. And what we want to do is figuring out for you, what are the things that we can manipulate that actually can help you, manipulate in the right direction that can help you with weight loss. So does it work? Remember Rhonda at the beginning of our webinar? Here's Rhonda now. And as she states there, I don't have my old life back. I have a better life. All those medical problems I mentioned fade away. No medical problems. Healthier now than ever. She now feels like I do have some control. Remember those other things, the depression, the loneliness, they fade away. And sometimes it's, like I said, it's amazing to see. Like I mentioned earlier, we can measure lots of things. You can't necessarily measure happiness, or you can't measure all the things you can do. Can you get on the floor and play with your kids or your grandkids? Can you go shopping all day? Can you climb the mountain? Can't necessarily measure those, but that's what occurs. All right, so a little recap today. So I promised you a number of things. First, what you would learn what you need to know to qualify for weight loss surgery. Yeah, we talked about that. You'll discover how weight loss surgery can dramatically improve your health and quality in life. Hopefully, I've shown you that. I also can give you the truth about the best surgical options available today. I don't like to gloss over some of those other things that other physicians don't like to talk about, what I refer to as the ugly truth. And also to share a plan for you to lose the weight, but more importantly, keep it off for life. So hopefully discovered why weight loss surgery works. Long-term success comes from education, and not just education, but support. And that right now is the best time to realize that weight loss surgery may be right for you. Now, you may be wondering how you could experience change like this. Keisha there, in her statement, I was a sexy diva at size 20, but now I'm a healthy sexy diva at size 4. And you really owe it to yourself, but also the people you care about, to take charge of your life. You can't take care of others if you don't take care of you. Now, you're making a decision right now, whether you're aware of it or not, because deciding to stay where you are is a choice. So not making a decision is a decision. And you may, kind of like this picture kind of shows, feel like I might be imprisoned in my body, in my weight. Deciding to stay where you are is a choice. And there is significant risk of staying where you are. Higher risk of all those medical problems, higher risk of an earlier death. But so is taking that first step towards the life you deserve. And that's what we're going to work on now. The conclusion of where these two paths lead is fairly obvious. So what direction are you heading? As you know, doing this alone isn't easy. If it was easy, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this webinar. You wouldn't be listening to me. So here's how I can help. And oh yeah, we're going to get back to that free gift I mentioned a long time ago. All right, so if you're serious about getting the results you want, my team and I have set aside some time to talk with you personally to customize a weight loss strategy that's right for you. The cost for this is absolutely free. It's going to cost you a little time. So I shouldn't say it's absolutely free. It's going to cost you a little time because what you have to do is pick up the phone. Now, this again is not for everyone. If you're not committed to doing this, don't bother. But if this is something that you've been thinking about for a period of time, if this is something that you've been contemplating, this may be the time. But again, these are the people we can help, okay? Here's who we can help. You must be absolutely committed to improving your health and feeling your best. You must be able to actively participate in a post-op program. Because we want you committed. The surgery is one thing. You know, it's literally 45 minutes out of your life. Now you got that surgery for the rest of your life. So getting the most out of it is incredibly important. And that's what we really work on. And you must be willing to get 100% real and 100% honest about where you are now, but also where do you want to be. So here's again who we can help. You must be willing to invest in your own success. You need to be committed, both time, effort, resources, staying in communication with us. So if we feel you're going to qualify for one of our programs, there's a good chance we're going to invite you to become one of the few new patients we accept every month. Now, that kind of sounds like, gee, we only accept a couple of people. But reality is, I can only operate on so many people every month. Literally, I only have so much time, and I get in the operating room, and I'm in the office most of the other days. So there truly is a limit on how many we can help every month. So I know that sounds like we're just trying to make you pick up the phone. But this is a reality, okay? So there aren't that many new patients every single month that we can take in. So you must be ready to make the changes necessary, and you must be willing to invest in your own success. If that's you, book a call with us now. So if we work together, we're going to collaboratively create a custom plan to reach your weight loss goals and implement the strategies you heard about today. You will get access to Weight Management University for weight loss surgery, our incredible 12-month program that has better success than nationally we're seeing anywhere. So we're going to be there to guide you every step of the way. And you have the added benefit of community support and weekly access to me. Again, this is only for people who are 100% committed. 100% committed to achieving long-term weight loss success. So if that's you, literally in less than 180 days, 6 months, in less than 180 days, you can completely transform your life. Think about that. 180 days, 6 months, completely transform your life. This could be you. You could be pain-free. You could have that confidence in anything that you wear. As Lauren says here, before you invest in others, you first invest in yourself. And that is so true. You really want to be all you can be for you, but also everyone you care about. If you can't be the best you, how are you going to be the best for everyone else? And you deserve this. You should deserve to enjoy the active lifestyle, whether it be walking through the Grand Canyon there, or whether it be hiking a mountain or getting on the floor playing with your grandchildren, Grand Canyon, grandchildren, whatever it is, you deserve this. So the time is now. You've heard all the options when it comes to weight loss surgery. You've seen how we can create massive success for our patients. Literally, we've done every day for the last 20 plus years. And you know that weight loss surgery may be right for you. If you didn't, you wouldn't still be here listening to me. So I'm sure you have questions, and we can have answers. But questions like, what are the costs with and without insurance? When can I return to work? What do most successful patients do before, during, and after surgery to ensure success? We can go over all these things in a relatively short period of time. So here's what I want you to do now. Go to this website, www.cfwls.com/schedule, schedule, and lock in your time for your free consultation. Again, www.cfwls.com/schedule, and schedule your appointment. So literally in 15 to 20 minutes, we can answer every question that you have and discuss all your options. And if one of the programs is a good fit for you, we can discuss working together long-term, because it is a long-term commitment. Literally, it's somewhat of a lifetime commitment. We want you to be successful. Now, in the meantime, remember that free gift I mentioned at the beginning? Keep an eye on your inbox. One of my best-selling books is Weight Loss Surgery Right for You is going to be showing up. This is one of the best sellers there. You could go buy this if you want to, but it's actually going to show up in your inbox. So here's what you're going to get. You're going to get answers to the top 21 questions most people ask about weight loss surgery, what you need to ask about weight loss surgery. It also gives you free access to a comprehensive video library that accompanies the book. That's a tremendous amount of weight loss tips revealed by some of our most successful patients. And it's got a lot more. It really is the perfect primer for our call together. So you can kind of read through that book. It's going to kind of get you warmed up, kind of answer a lot of the questions that you may have, and also get access to all of it literally in the next couple hours. It should be showing up in your mailbox, your email box, inbox very shortly. Again, go to this website, cfwls.com/schedule. Don't lose your spot. Sign up now. I'm looking forward to working with you so that you can live the life that you dream about. All right. Thank you for listening, everyone. I hope to see you in the very near future here at the office. And again, sign up, cfwls.com/schedule. Get your appointment. We'll talk soon. Take care.